My name is John Karstadt. I compete on the United States Taekwondo team. I found EVO UltraFit through a friend of my wife's who referred her to me. And at the time, he said, you need to go check this out, you need to go talk to this guy, you need to go meet these guys and see what they're doing. And when he told me, or told her, I just kind of blew it off. I was like, okay, it's one more thing, somebody else has some great idea, they're trying to fix me, and I had blown through all kinds of stuff and everybody else and their great ideas for the last 6 months. All these people that want to jump in and do something for me. So it rolled into probably the 7th or 8th month, and I had just gotten fed up of being on the couch. Like I had to do something, and so I got in touch with EVO. I was running a Taekwondo school. I was teaching classes 5-6 days a week. I was training. I was running the business. I was going. I've got 2 kids. Like all this stuff was happening, and every day there was I was just moving. Life was rolling. And then when my daughter was born, our 3rd child, that weekend, that Sunday when we came home from the hospital, I started having these chest pains, and it was pain shooting down my arm and my leg, and I thought I was having a heart attack or something, and just completely freaked me out. So I called my dad, and it lasted for about almost an hour, and then I said, what should we do? He said, let's go to the ER. So we went, and that was the beginning of everything. And from that point on, it was like my life just stopped. Because after that, I wasn't able to go back and teach classes. I wasn't able to focus. I wasn't able to sleep. I wasn't able to eat. It was like my whole body just shut down on me. This went on for about 8 months before I came to EVO. So when I came to EVO, as far as expectations go, I was like, whatever, let's see, let's check it out. And if they got something great, I'll try it. But I didn't really have a lot invested in it or very high expectations. So when I came in, came into the gym, sat down and started going through things and talking about the program and finding out how it works and what it could possibly do for me, it sounded like a great idea. Like it all sounded great. And I'd also had now 8 months of every doctor that I've been to, every specialist, every whatever, saying, well, you're just fine and we don't know what's wrong with you. And after like an hour conversation here, I thought it sounded like something that I could try that might make a difference. And so I figured, why not? The people that were here weren't sick. They didn't look like they'd been laid up for 8 months, and they're professional athletes, and they were working out and doing things on the scale that I used to do things, and it wasn't intimidating, but it was like, I don't know if I belong here. And so as I started going through, and one of the things I started noticing was that a lot of the exercises I was doing were the same exercises those guys were doing. And the other thing was the art machine, was electricity. And that was literally a shocker. Like the first time I had ever done any kind of electronic stimulus stuff. And to have, when they did the test on me and they went over and tried to figure out where the disruptions were, to find out that like my shins made my whole body want to jump off the table, or when it touched my shoulder, everything locked up like this, and I felt like I couldn't move. Like that was an eye-opener. And to be able to have the focus put on those, and the load of the electricity put on those, and then okay, now go do these exercises, was like, really? Like, you really want me to go do this? And one of the things I just kept thinking in the back of my mind was, well, nothing else has worked, so let's give this a shot. You're hooked up to a machine that's intentionally causing you discomfort, and where it hurts the most, and you're doing all these exercises trying to retrain not even trying, just retraining your brain so that it knows that now, okay, you can do this movement and it's okay. And that, once that registered for me, then it made sense. Once I got that I'm just sending new signals to my brain, then I was like, okay, hook me up, I don't care. Like, what, now what? So one of the things that when I came in and sat down, one of the first things we discussed was having a goal, like having a vision, having something out in front of me so that I wasn't just showing up every day. And one of the first things I was asked was, well, what did you used to do? Like, well, I used to compete on the US Taekwondo team. I'd go fight. We'd travel around the world. And, you know, I've been to 8 world championships in different places around the world. And the next question was, well, are there any tournaments coming up? And I said, well, yeah, there's one in London in like 3 months. And then it was like, okay, well, you want to do that? And my first thought was, well, it's not whether or not I want to do it, it's will I be able to do it? And when I voiced that concern, and then they just said, well, you got to have a goal, right? So I was like, okay, screw it, let's do this, let's go for it. And that, so I always had that out in front of me, but it still occurred like a maybe. And as we went through, after about a month and a half of being here every day and hard workouts, I hadn't done any Taekwondo, so it had been about almost 9 months now where I had done 0 Taekwondo. I hadn't thrown a kick, hadn't thrown a punch, hadn't trained, hadn't sparred, hadn't done anything. And I said, so what should I start doing? And my instructions were, go spar. And I'm thinking, I need to do drills, I need to get back in shape, I need to practice these kicks, I need to do some, like, I've got a lot of work to do. And my directions were, go fight. Said, okay, I'll do it. Got 3 guys together and started on like Tuesday and Thursday nights. We would spar after all the classes were done at the Taekwondo school. And I started sparring, and the first night I went back to fight, it was, my body was different, like I was strong in a different way. And there were things like, you know, my timing and stuff was a little bit off, but I beat the crap out of the guys I was fighting with. Like and they're guys that we'd spar with, and it wasn't like, they were just kind of pissed, because afterwards they're like, you haven't been here. Like, what you haven't done anything. You can still kick my ass. Like, you can still move, and you haven't been here. And I said, well, it's my EVO training. And they're like, what is that? Like, I'll explain it to you later. But it literally was, my body was actually in condition to fight. I had no idea. But then so this is now a month and a half before this tournament in London. So now I bought my ticket, and it's like, okay, like, this is a done deal, this is happening. And with the training, like physically, because I still had the pain, I still had all this other stuff going on, but I could work out twice a week. So I sparred on Tuesday and Thursday for 15 or 20 minutes. Literally, like, I'd fight like 3 or 4 rounds. And for 6 weeks. So I had 12 20-minute training sessions of actual Taekwondo. And then it's like, okay, time to go to London. And so I really had no idea how that was going to go. I didn't have any expectation. And on one hand, it was like, it was a victory just being able to go, and a victory to be on the US team. But as soon as I got there, that was like, that just bothered me that I had that thought. Like, I'm here. What am I happy about? Like, I've got a tournament to win. Like, this is like, I was immediately back into the mode that I would have been in, you know, when I was in New Zealand in 2011, or when I was in Canada in 2007. Like, that was, now I'm like, I'm here. It's time to win. And after my first event, I took a bronze in power breaking. and at one point I was tied for first in that event, and there were a little more than 30 countries there. And in the middle of that, I literally almost teared up because I was like, I'm back. Like, I'm me. I might be in pain, but I'm back. And a lot of what this process was for me was proving to myself that I wasn't dead. And the next event was the individual sparring. And when I got in there to fight, my first round was, it was a little shaky, but you know, I won. And my second round, when I got up to fight, the first 10 seconds in, I kicked the guy in the face and he winds up on his butt. And I was like okay, like it's on. And I felt like me for the first time since everything had happened. And I wound up losing that match. I still disagree with that, but I wound up losing the match. But even my dad, who's my instructor since day one for the last, you know, almost 30 years now, the first thing he said was, he goes, the old John was back for about 2 minutes there. And for him to say that was a huge deal for me, because he's been there the whole time, and he saw everything stop. Like, he was there that night when he took me to the emergency room. He's seen me laid up. He's been helping me take care of my kids. He's been there this whole time, and for him to say that was a huge deal. And even when I was watching the video of it, even the guys that were filming it, they're like, "Oh, he's back. Oh, he's on. Oh, you know," and like people like got excited about it, and I got excited about it too. And you could tell, like, when I'm fighting, there are a couple of times where, like, if I'm feeling good, I'll just kind of stand up and stare at the person. Like, I'll stop bouncing around and moving and doing all this stuff and it's kind of a cocky move, but that's when I know I'm feeling it, and the things are flowing. And one of the best parts about that fight was that I don't remember the fight. And normally when I don't remember the fight, it was a good fight, because I wasn't thinking, I wasn't pushing it. I was just like, things were just moving. I was reacting, and I didn't, you know, everything was automatic. You're gonna get pushed, you're gonna get worked, and if you don't like that, then you're in the wrong place. But you're gonna get pushed and you're gonna get worked, and it works. The process works, the system works. For me to not be able to do anything and then work out 8 or 10 times and then go fight in the World Championships and make it to the quarterfinals, it works. Like, and for me to win 2 bronze medals in the breaking events, it works.